meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a big bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The big bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.
On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle, doing the Law of One materials. Again, just something that's super special to me. We're doing sessions 31 and 32. Just want to reiterate just up front, this material is not for everybody. It might be something that gets outside of some people's comfort zones. I've certainly heard this from some of my audience. I just want you guys to know, this is for, there's others within my audience that are taking this information and truly finding some answers that they've been wondering about. So I think it's very, very helpful to understand perspective and understand maybe some of our history and even kind of how we're wired, because we've been lied to about a lot of things. And for the most part, this is pretty good information. And there's some stuff that maybe is a little weird here and there. Maybe they mess up, but I just think it's one of the things I think is very powerful. So all said, wanted to be able to share it with you guys. The session 31 is going to talk about kind of the green ray energy, certainly when it comes to energetics when we're working with other humans, sometimes sexually, certainly. But the green ray is really what I call the heart chakra. It is the heart chakra area. That's the color that's associated with it. And it's when the great leap happens. So you've stepped past the three bottom lower energy chakras. I mean, they're good and bad, but they're just very root. They're basic. They're for survival, if you will. And the service to self uses the yellow and orange to manipulate. And this is where a lot of the blockages will occur. So these two sessions, we talk about blockages, energy movement. It's important to understand when we're coming from that heart area, how big a leap it is when you're doing something because it feels right, because you love so much, because of some sort of driving force within you, even though you're looking at facts maybe that don't add up. Like, there's no way I can pull this off. And there's like, well, there's a chance, right? Like, it's like, I got to do this. Like, and you do it and you succeed. And it's that great leap. So the green ray chakra, I think, is one of the key, the green ray energy. I think it's one of the keys to ascension. I've said it before, I've said it again. I think the people that are likely either A, have ascended already, or B, are ascending, this is that part of themselves that they're trying to get in touch with. And it's not comfortable. It's not easy to trust that woo-woo thing, if you will, to make a decision. But it's one of those things that that's why I like the intro to this so much. When you look at what's happening in your life, that's what God's giving you in the present moment. That's the gift, the present. And it's happening right now. And when you pay attention to that experience and how that works. And what I'm sending out, and then it reflects back at me, one could call that, well, whatever. I don't want to get lost on it, but you send it out, it comes back. It's almost immediate in some cases, within the day, sometimes two. But when you start to notice, you're like, I was just thinking about that yesterday. I mean, our iPhones are better at figuring out our patterns than us even noticing them from our own lives and what we're thinking, saying, and doing. It is what graduation is. Learning to focus your energies properly. It's like elementary school. If you can't stop throwing sand on the other kid in the sandbox, you're not allowed out of the sandbox, right? And that's what a lot of us are trying to learn how to do, is to get out of the sandbox. So green ray, energy transfers, blockage, and this, I don't know, this is going to be a little controversial maybe, but it's very interesting, especially when you get into the concept of past lives and how many of those have been male and female and those types of things. The concept of homosexual and why it's sort of happening, where it's easier to happen, and actually the way things are playing out right now, it kind of makes a lot of sense where a lot of that is. And again, I say this, I couch it with the fact that, I've got a little group of guys. There's 4 guys. One of them came out when we knew him. And so, yeah, one of my best friends is gay. And it's cool, And I've worked in theater and stuff my whole life, so I've known plenty of gay people. So whatever, it's cool. I think it explains it. So I think this is a powerful one. It's fun. 3132. I think you guys are going to dig. We're going to go ahead and fire them off right here. It's the Law of One series on the Fringe. The Law of One, Session 31, recorded February 25th, 1981. Ra, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner, I would like to ask a question first for the instrument herself. She requests to know if it would be advisable for her to walk alone now that she feels better. Ra, I am Ra. This is acceptable. Questioner, okay. What I'm going to do is use the information that we did at the end of the previous book that you suggested would be more appropriate for more advanced material. We will put it in the book at this point. As we are talking about bisexual reproduction, and I would like to expand on this material a little bit and get some definitions and better understandings. You speak in this material of sexual energy transfer. Could you define that energy transfer and expand upon its meaning, please? Ra, I am Ra. Energy transfer implies the release of potential energies across, shall we say, a potentiated space. The sexual energy transfer occurs due to the polarizations of 2 mind-body-spirit complexes, each of which have some potential differences one to the other. The nature of the transfer of energy, or of the blockage of this energy, is then a function of the interaction of the 2 potentials. In the cases where transfer takes place, you may liken this to a circuit being closed. You may also see this activity as all experiential activities, as the creator experiencing itself. Questioner, would this then be the primal mechanism for the creator to experience self? Ra, I am Ra. This is not a proper term. Perhaps the adjective would be one appropriate way of the creator knowing itself. For in each interaction, no matter what the distortion, the creator is experiencing itself. The bisexual knowing of the creator by itself has the potential for 2 advantages. Firstly, in the green ray activated being, there is the potential for a direct and simple analog of what you may call joy, the spiritual or metaphysical nature which exists in intelligent energy. This is a great aid to comprehension of a truer nature of beingness. The other potential advantage of bisexual reproduction is the possibility of a sacramental understanding or connection, shall we say, with the gateway to intelligent infinity. For with appropriate preparation, work in what you may call magic may be done and experiences of intelligent infinity may be had. The positively oriented individuals concentrating upon this method of reaching intelligent infinity, then, through the seeking of the act of will, are able to direct this infinite intelligence to the work these entities desire to do, whether it be knowledge of service or ability to heal, or whatever service to others is desired. These are 2 advantages of this particular method of the creator experiencing itself. As we have said before, the corollary of the strength of this particular energy transfer is that it opens the door, shall we say, to the individual mind-body-spirit complex's desire to serve in an infinite number of ways, another self thus polarizing towards positive. Questioner, Can you expand somewhat on the concept that this action not only allows the creator to know itself better, but also creates, in our density, an offspring or makes available the pathway for another entity to enter the density? Ra. I am Ra. As we have previously said, the sexual energy transfers include the red ray transfer, which is random, and which is a function of the second density attempt to grow, to survive, shall we say. This is a proper function of the sexual interaction. The offspring, as you would call the incarnated entity which takes on the mind-body complex opportunity offered by this random act or event, called the fertilization of egg by seed, causes an entity to have the opportunity to then enter this density as an incarnate entity. This gives the two who are engaged in this bisexual reproductive energy transfer the potential for great service in this area of the nurturing of a small, experienced entity as it gains an experience. It shall be of interest at this point to note that there is always the possibility of using these opportunities to polarize towards the negative, and this has been aided by the gradual building up over many thousands of your years of social complex distortions, which create a tendency towards confusion, shall we say, or baffling of the service to others aspect of this energy transfer and subsequent opportunities for service to other selves. Questioner. If a sexual energy transfer occurs in green ray, and I am assuming in this case, and there is no red ray energy transfer, does this mean it is impossible then for this particular transfer to include fertilization and the birthing of an entity? Ra. I am Ra. This is incorrect. There is always the red ray energy transfer due to the nature of the body complex. The random result of this energy transfer will be as it will be, as a function of the possibility of fertilization at a given time in a given pairing of entities. The green ray energy transfer occurs due to the vibratory rate of each entity being undistorted in any vital sense by the yellow or orange ray energies. Thus, the gift, shall we say, being given freely, no payment being requested either of the body, of the mind, or of the spirit. The green ray is one of complete universality, of love. This is giving without expectation of return. Questioner. I was wondering if there was some principle behind the fact that a sexual union does not necessarily lead to fertilization. I'm not interested in the chemical or the physical principles of it. I'm interested in whether or not there is some metaphysical principle that leads to the couple having a child or not. Or is it purely random? Ra. I am Ra. This is a random within certain limits. If an entity has reached the seniority whereby it chooses the basic structure of the life experience, this entity may then choose to incarnate in a physical complex which is not capable of reproduction. Thus, we find some entities which have chosen to be unfertile. Other entities, through free will, make use of various devices to ensure non-fertility. Except for these conditions, the condition is random. Questioner. Thank you. In the material earlier, you mentioned magnetic attraction. Could you define and expand upon that term? Ra. I am Ra. We use the term to indicate that in your bisexual natures, there is that which is of polarity. This polarity may be seen to be variable according to the, shall we say, male-female polarization of each entity, be each entity biologically male or female. Thus, you may see the magnetism when two entities with the appropriate balance, male-female versus female-male polarity, meeting, and thus feeling the attraction which its polarized forces will exert, one upon the other. This is the strength of the bisexual mechanism. It does not take an act of will to decide to feel attraction for one who is oppositely polarized sexually. It will occur in inevitable sense, giving the free flow of energy a proper, shall we say, avenue. This avenue may be blocked by some distortion towards a belief condition, which states to the entity that this attraction is not desired. However, the basic mechanism functions as simple as it could, shall we say, the magnet and the iron. Questioner. We have what seems to be an increasing number of entities incarnated here now who have what is called a homosexual orientation in this respect. Could you explain and expand upon that concept? Ra. I am Ra. Entities of this condition experience a great deal of distortion due to the fact that they have experienced many incarnations as biological male and as biological female. This would not suggest what you call homosexuality in an active phase were it not for the difficult vibratory condition of your planetary sphere. There is what you may call great aura infringement upon your crowded urban areas in your more populous countries, as you call portions of your planetary surface. Under these conditions, the confusion will occur. Questioner: why does density of population create these confusions? Ra: I am Ra. The bisexual reproductive urge has at its goal not only the simple reproductive function, but more especially the desire to serve others being awakened by this activity. In an overcrowded situation where each mind-body-spirit complex is under a constant bombardment from other selves, it is understandable that those who are especially sensitive would not feel the desire to be service to others' selves. This also would increase the probability of a lack of desire or a blockage of red ray reproductive energy. In an uncrowded atmosphere, this same entity would, through the stimulus of feeling the solitude about it, then have much more desire to seek out someone to whom it may be of service, thus regularizing the sexual reproductive function. Questioner: roughly how many previous incarnations, shall we say, would a male entity in this incarnation have had to have had in the past as a female to have a highly homosexual orientation in this incarnation? Just roughly. Ra: I am Ra. If an entity has had roughly 65% of its incarnations in the sexual biological body complex, the opposite polarity to its present body complex, this entity is vulnerable to the aura infringement of your urban areas and may perhaps become of what you call a homosexual nature. It is to be noted at this juncture that although it is much more difficult, it is possible in this type of association for an entity to be of great service to another in fidelity and sincere green ray love of a non-sexual nature, thus adjusting or lessening the distortions of its sexual impairment. Questioner: Timothy Leary, doing research, wrote that at the time of puberty and up through that time, there is an imprint occurring on the DNA coding of an entity, and that, for instance, sexual biases are imprinted due to earlier sexual experiences or some of the first sexual experiences of the entity. Does anything like this actually happen? Ra: I am Ra. This is partially correct. Due to the nature of solitary sexual experiences, it is in most cases unlikely that what you call masturbation has an imprinting effect upon later experiences. This is similarly true with some of the encounters which might be seen as homosexual among those of this age group. These are often, instead, innocent exercises in curiosity. However, it is quite accurate that the first experience in which the mind-body-spirit complex is intensely involved will indeed imprint upon the entity for that life experience a set of preferences. Questioner: does the Orion group use this, shall we say, as a gateway to impressing upon entities, shall we say, preference, which could create negative polarization? Ra: I am Ra. Just as we of the Confederation attempt to beam our love and light whenever given the opportunity, including sexual opportunities, so the Orion group will use an opportunity if it is negatively oriented, or if the individual is negatively oriented. Questioner: is there any emotional bias that has nothing to do with the male-female sexual polarity that can create sexual energy buildup in an entity? Ra: I am Ra. The sexual energy buildup is extremely unlikely to occur without sexual bias upon the part of the entity. Perhaps we did not understand your question, but it seems obvious that it would take an entity with the potential for sexual activity to experience a sexual energy buildup. Questioner: I was thinking more of the possibility of the Orion group having influenced, say, certain members of the Third Reich, who I have read reports of having sexual gratification from the observations of the, in some cases, the gassing and killing of entities in the gas chamber. Ra: I am Ra. We shall repeat, these entities had the potential for sexual energy buildup. The choice of stimulus is certainly the choice of the entity. In the case of which you speak, these entities were strongly polarized orange ray, thus finding the energy blockage of power over others, the putting to death being the ultimate power over others, this then being expressed in a sexual manner, though solitary. In this case, the desire would continue unabated and be virtually unquenchable. You will find, if you observe the entire spectrum of sexual practice among your people, that there are those who experience such gratification from domination over others, either from rape or from other means of domination. In each case, this is an example of energy blockage, which is sexual in its nature. Questioner: would the Orion group then be able to, shall we say, to impress on entities this orange ray effect, Or did they? Is this the way that came about? Is what I'm trying to get at. Is this the way that these concepts came about on this planet? Because if we go back to the beginning of third density, there must be a primal cause of this. Ra, I am Ra. The cause of this is not Orion. It is the free choice of your peoples. This is somewhat difficult to explain. We shall attempt. The sexual energy transfers and blockages are more a manifestation or example of that which is more fundamental than the other way about. Therefore, as your peoples become open to the concepts of bellicosity and the greed of ownership, these various distortions then begin to filter down through the tree of mind into body complex expressions, the sexual expression being basic to that complex. Thus, these sexual energy blockages, though Orion influenced and intensified, are basically the product of the beingness chosen freely by your peoples. This will be the final question, unless we may speak further upon this question to clarify or answer any short queries before we close. Questioner, I just need to know if this then works through the racial memory to infect the entire population in some way. Does that sort of thing happen? Ra, I am Ra. The racial memory contains all that has ever been experienced. Thus, there is some, shall we say, contamination, even of the sexual, this showing mostly in your own culture as the various predispositions to adversary relationships, or, as you call them, marriages, rather than the free giving one to another in the love and light of the infinite Creator. Questioner, that was precisely the point which I was trying to make. Thank you very much. Not to tire the instrument, I will just ask if there's anything we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or to improve the contact. Ra, I am Ra. Please be aware that this instrument is somewhat fatigued. The channel is very clear. However, we find the vital energy low. We do not wish to deplete the instrument. However, there is a, shall we say, energy exchange, which we feel an honor duty to offer when this instrument opens itself. Therefore, counsel we this instrument to attempt to assess the vital energies carefully before offering itself as an open channel. All is well. You are conscientious. I am Ra. I leave this instrument and you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, then, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one Creator. Adonai. I still missed an edit at the front. Whatever. It's on the Fringe. Doing the Law of One material. This one's kind of heavy stuff. I like this. I love this material. Again, I think we'll see how all of you guys fare on the big picture. But energy transfer is really the big kind of takeaway from this. Most people don't really think about it, but it was Celestine Prophecies, I thought, did a brilliant job sort of sharing how energy transfers happen. There are a few different ways, 4 typically. Some of them are more negative, some of them can be more positive, but it is the way that we interact with other beings and how we experience each other. Creator, co-creator, doesn't matter. And sometimes we share energy where we'll give it to them. Sometimes we take energy from people. And there are this group, right? It's just the transfer. It's the experience. It gets into tantric and stuff like that when people are talking about lovemaking, or when it comes to friendships and maybe you bump into somebody you've never known before and you just have this instant connection. There's this energetic thing that happens. There's this familiarity. There's this, call it pheromones even, but it's not. But I mean, it's just, so energy transfer is a big deal. And blocks don't, like when we talk about blocks and the chakras, basically the colors are essentially the chakra. The red ray is your first chakra. The orange ray is your second chakra. The yellow ray is your third chakra. Green is your fourth. Blue is your fifth. Right? Indigo is your sixth. And violet's your seventh. We're going to cover all these as we get through all this. So if you haven't activated higher chakras, if you haven't even gotten to the fourth, like it won't matter because blue, indigo, violets are going to be off already if you don't have green turned on. Once you have green turned on, it now becomes possible to experience the upper chakras, and you'll usually hit them in order. If you can't get past that great leap is the big thing. Like I said, you feel something. It's not real. It's that moment where you connect, I think, physical to spiritual. I don't know, to simplify it greatly. But it's the point where you feel something, even though it doesn't look like that would be right, and you do it anyway. And it's an experience. And when the time's right, it's what you're going to have. So energy transfer, blocks don't keep it from happening. They affect how it happens. So if we get stuck in the lower chakras, your yellow and orange, and they're going to get into it some more too, but you started to get into some of the dysfunctions in relationships, be it sexual, physical, marriages. I mean, a lot of people out there probably have maybe been through divorces. Some of you haven't, but you certainly know the struggles. But there is these different levels that play, that interact, that affect the way we have relationships with others. And if we kind of understand them and sort of work on them a little bit, you actually find that your relationships get better. Mostly that's why they say it's what you send out is what you get back. And a lot of people just reflect back on us, what we're doing. And so you would be like, well, did they change too? And it's like, I don't know, you did. And the way you perceive them has changed because of that. And that's almost what matters. So blockages are things that show us where we have issue. Successes or what we like or what's like essentially perfect. You're like, this is exactly how I want it. I want it like this tomorrow too, right? That's great. Keep doing what you're doing in that regard. So these are important things. Every person is the creator. That's a reminder that's frequent in the law of one. Every person is the creator. And I just wanted to do a quick caveat on this. A lot of people have been talking about med beds and how if you have any sort of issues in your body health-wise, that this med bed will fix you. And yes, in fact, it could it could. Right? Whenever they might get rolled out, if that happens, right? It should. But the problem is every one of us is energetics. Every one of us is energy. And if we've got dysfunction in our bodies, if we've got dis-ease in our lives, it creates an energetic problem. The energetic problem manifests itself into a physical issue. So you could go into a med bed and heal yourself and then have the same problem, a year later because you haven't changed what's going on energetically. So we are the creators. You're the creator. You. I'm the creator for me. You're the creator for you. Not every. Who cares what other people do? Okay? It matters what you're creating. Let's see. Energetics. Sex for fun. Oh, wait, hang on. Kids first. Sorry. Not all people come here wanting children. And they actually, I think, get into this next one where they talk about some of the people that are coming from higher densities, children, marriage, these are things that are just not thought of the same way. Like relationships are very different in higher densities. They just thought they are. And so part of the ascension process, again, is just getting into that green ray energy and really understanding that energy and experiencing it. When you share energy with an individual during the lovemaking process or whatever, it's an energetic thing. Or relationships with friends, like when you're sitting there talking to each other. If you could see it energetically, each time someone's talking, they're sending energy back and forth. There's this experience. This is what we all crave as individuals. It's what the bad people have tried to take away is they try to get us to talk to each other on these stupid things versus face-to-face, where you can feel the energy easier, though technically you don't need that. I mean, the distance doesn't matter. It's actually irrelevant. So once you get past that, these things are kind of cool. Sex for fun. A lot of people, I think, believe that that's not okay, or there's a guilt associated with it. You don't always have to make a baby. I know there's some religions that suggest that. I don't agree with that. You can enjoy the matrimony of energies between two beings and don't necessarily have to do it for the sole reason of having a child. I mean, I just think that's a shame. And it's really taking away a beautiful energetic sharing that is priceless. And in relationship sharing, saving in some cases, some might say. There's that. Let's see. Sexual experience and its impact. So again, we create relationships. There are unhealthy sexual relationships, understanding if you're behaving in such or if you're having someone behave as such, understanding the way these things happen, where the problem's coming from as far as, the colors, they'll get into it, yellow and orange. This next part's a little confusing, but it kind of does a reasonable job, I think, sort of trying to paint the difference. But the lower chakras, like the root chakra red, just very much about primal, staying alive, and making babies. Just boom. I don't care if there's any connection at all. Literally, they could turn around. I don't have to see their face, right? Like that's first red ray. Like you don't care about anything else. Yellow and orange and yellow, sorry, can get into control and manipulation, looking at people as chattel, so they don't really care. You look down upon them, essentially. So it's like, wow, I mean, it's like they're an ant and there's 1,000 of them. So who cares? Like, it's pretty brutal. So there's a lot of things that can be experienced through that. I think we'll get more into it. Also, I wrote in here, no need to blame Orion. And I say this in that a lot of times people blame some outside source for what they did or chose to do, or something was nudging at me, so I did it. It's always choice, folks. It is always choice. Okay? Doesn't matter. The devil can only try to nudge you, just to use the term, or Orion, or negative, dark, can only try to influence you. It cannot make you choose. You do that. So really, there's nothing to fear. It's all about choice. And if we're fearing something, it's because we're thinking about something and giving it all this power. When in reality, we're here to create. I mean, if that's the world you want to create, great. But there's better creations, I could guarantee you. Again, if we can't figure out how not to throw sand in the sandbox, not all of us are going to get through this. It's cool. It's cool. You don't have to. You can go another round. It's not a big deal. All right, I might have a couple questions. I heard my phone making lots of noise, so we'll check out what's going down with that. Let's see. So I got a question from Think-O-2000. Question is, a light wave spectrum chart a good visual indicator of the vibrations of the corresponding chakras? In all honesty, I've never seen any sort of scan or something that shows the colors. The colors generally align to certain parts of the body, and they align to colors of the rainbow. Like, it's just, I think of more of symbology. You know, it can be more than that, but root chakra is red, orange, green, Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So first chakra is red, second chakra is orange, third chakra is yellow, fourth chakra is green, fifth is blue, sixth is indigo, seventh is violet. And so they move. Indigo is like your third eye, by the way, and then violet's going to be like your crown chakra is what they call it. And then there's actually a couple that are even above that connect to source or your higher source. So that is a big part of how that plays out. And I mean, the vibration colors, I think for healing, there's color healing. So I think there's a lot to be said about that frequency, those nanometers. So I think there's something to be said about that. I think there's a lot to be said about sound vibration healing too. Certain colors have a sound associated with them as well. There's a lot of angles you can go to that. I'm just trying to think whatever else I should probably cover on that. That's a deep question. It's a great question. There's crystals, I think, that can probably work in those directions, especially if they're programmed properly. Hell, there's probably candles and stuff too. I mean, I know people that used to do a lot of candle stuff. I feel like that's a little more on the witchy side, but I don't think it's bad in and of itself. I think it's the witchy stuff that makes witchcraft stuff really fucked up. It's the normal stuff is just like, you burn candles and incense. That's groovy, right? Like, so anyway, doesn't matter. I've got 32 kicking off here. This one, like I said, is service to self, orange, yellow, control. And it really gets into what's green, what's indigo, and what's violet. And it even gets into the difference in densities for wanderers. And a bunch of you guys out there, especially that are watching this show, are actual wanderers. I hope you know that. And what I'm wanting all of you to do, just individually, is to find where you feel like you are in the process. Because again, I've said this before, I'm a teacher of teachers. And how you help in this game, in this movie, like I say, I'm just a dude holding the flashlight in the movie or whatever. Like, getting to know that area where you're at, kind of, and it will help you, I think, in how you share yourself with the world and how you present yourself and how the confidence kind of even that you'll take with it sometimes, because it's just strange, but there are just different levels, and it's not that it's better per se. It's just there's something that's happened to get to that green ray energy or that blue ray energy. Like, there's a step, there's a progression, there's a thing that someone consciously did. Doesn't make me better than anyone else, just means I've opened a couple more doors than you have, right? That's it. You open doors, I open doors, I've just opened more of them, right? That's all, right? I don't know how else to put it. That's it. We're going to kick it into 32, Law of One, on the Fringe, Dan Radio Style. The Law of One, Session 32, recorded February 27th, 1981. Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner. I have a little question I will throw in at this point from Jim. I will read it. The instrument's physical complex is now in the process of recovery from taking a chemical. She was ignorant of the opening that she was creating. How can each of the three of us present be more aware of how such openings may be created in our actions and thoughts? Is it possible that we could make such openings innocently as we question in certain areas during these sessions? And then, what can we do to protect ourselves from distorting influences in general? Is there any ritual or meditation that we use? Ra. I am Ra. Although we are in sympathy with the great desire to be of service exemplified by this question, our answer is limited by the distortion of the way of confusion. We shall say some general things which may be of service in this area. Firstly, when this instrument distorted its bodily complex towards low vital energy due to this occurrence, it was a recognizable substance which caused this. This was not a, shall we say, natural substance, nor was the mind-body-spirit complex enough aware of its distortion towards physical weakness. The natural ways of, shall we say, everyday existence in which the entity without the distortion caused by ingestion of strongly effective chemicals may be seen to be in always appropriate nature. There are no mistakes, including the action of this instrument. Secondly, the means of protection against any negative or debilitating influence for those upon the positive path was demonstrated by this instrument to a very great degree. Consider, if you will, the potentials that this particular occurrence had for negative influences to enter the instrument. This instrument thought upon the Creator in its solitude and in actions with other self, continually praised and gave thanksgiving to the Creator for the experiences it was having. This in turn allowed this particular entity to radiate to other selves such energies as became a catalyst for an opening and strengthening of the other self's abilities to function in a more positively polarized state. Thus, we see protection being very simple. Give thanksgiving for each moment. See the self and the other self as creator. Open the heart. Always know the light and praise it. This is all the protection necessary. Questioner, thank you very much. I will now continue with the material from the day before yesterday. Our subject is how sexual polarity acts as a catalyst in evolution and how to best make use of this catalyst. Going back to that material, I will fill in a few gaps that we possibly don't understand at this point too well. Can you tell me the difference between orange and yellow ray activation? I'm going to work up from red ray on through the violet, and we covered red ray, so what's the difference between orange and yellow ray activation? Ra. I am Ra. The orange ray is that influence or vibratory pattern wherein the mind-body-spirit expresses its power on an individual basis. Thus, power over individuals may be seen to be orange ray. This ray has been quite intense among your peoples on an individual basis. You may see in this ray the treating of other selves as non-entities, slaves, or chattel, thus giving other selves no status whatsoever. The yellow ray is a focal and very powerful ray and concerns the entity in relation to, shall we say, groups, societies, or large numbers of mind-body-spirit complexes. This orange, we correct ourselves, this yellow ray vibration is at the heart of bellicose actions in which one group of entities feel the necessity and right of dominating other groups of entities and bending their wills to the wills of the master. The negative path, as you would call it, uses a combination of the yellow ray and the orange ray in its polarization patterns. These rays, used in a dedicated fashion, will bring about a contact with intelligent infinity. The usual nature of sexual interaction, if one is yellow or orange in primary vibratory patterns, is one of blockage and then insatiable hunger due to that blockage. When there are two selves vibrating in this area, the potential for polarization through the sexual interaction is begun. One entity experiencing the pleasure of humiliation and slavery or bondage, the other experiencing the pleasure of mastery and control over another entity. In this way, a sexual energy transfer of a negative polarity is experienced. Questioner, from the material that you transmitted February 17th, you stated, quote, in third ray, there are two possibilities. Firstly, if both vibrate in third ray, there will be a mutually strengthening energy transfer. What color is third ray in this material? Ra. I am Ra. The ray we were speaking of in that material should be properly the green ray or fourth ray. Questioner, so should I change that third to fourth? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. Please continue to scan for errors having to do with the numberings, as you call them, as this concept is foreign to us and we must translate, if you will, when using numbers. This is an ongoing weakness of this contact due to the difference between our ways and yours. Your aid is appreciated. Questioner. Okay, thank you. I believe that for the time being, we've amply covered green ray, so I'm going to skip over green and go to blue. Could you tell me the difference that occurs between green and blue with the emphasis on blue ray? Ra. I am Ra. With the green ray transfer of energy, you now come to the great turning point sexually as well as each other's mode of experience. The green ray may then be turned outward, the entity then giving rather than receiving. The first giving beyond green ray is the giving of acceptance or freedom, thus allowing the recipient of blue ray energy transfer the opportunity for a feeling of being accepted, thus freeing that other self to express itself to the giver of this ray. It will be noted that once green ray energy transfer has been achieved by two mind-body spirits in mating, the further rays are available without both entities having the necessity to progress equally. Thus, a blue ray vibrating entity or indigo ray vibrating entity, whose other ray vibrations are clear, may share that energy with the green ray other self, thus acting as a catalyst for the continued learned teaching of the other self. Until an other self reaches green ray, such energy transfers through the rays is not possible. Questioner. My next question had to do with the indigo ray. Is there any difference between indigo and blue energy transfer? Ra. I am Ra. The indigo ray is the ray of, shall we say, awareness of the Creator as self. Thus, one whose indigo ray vibrations have been activated can offer the energy transfer of Creator to Creator. This is the beginning of the sacramental nature of what you call your bisexual reproductive act. It is unique in bearing the allness, the wholeness, the unity in its offering to other self. Questioner. And then finally, the violet ray. What is the difference between violet ray and the others? Ra. I am Ra. The violet ray, just as the red ray, is constant in the sexual experience. Its experience by other self may be distorted or completely ignored or not apprehended by other self. However, the violet ray, being the sum and substance of the mind-body-spirit complex, surrounds and informs any action by the mind-body-spirit complex. Questioner. Do the energy transfers of this nature occur in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th density? Of all the rays? Ra. I am Ra. The rays, as you understand them, have such a different meaning in the next density and the next and so forth that we must answer your query in the negative. Energy transfers only take place in 4th, 5th, and 6th densities. These are still of what you would call a polarized nature. However, due to the ability of these densities to see the harmonies between individuals, these entities choose those mates which are harmonious, thus allowing constant transfer of energy and the propagation of the body complexes which each density uses. The process is different in the 5th and 6th density that you may understand it. However, it is in these cases still based upon polarity. In the 7th density, there is not this particular energy exchange, as it is unnecessary to recycle body complexes. Questioner. I am assuming from what we have previously looked at, we have on Earth today and have had in the past 4th, 5th, and 6th density wanderers. As they come into the incarnation in the physical of this density for a period as a wanderer, what types of polarizations with respect to these various rays do they find affecting them? Can you tell me that? Ra. I am Ra. I believe I grasp the thrust of your query. Please ask further if this answer is not sufficient. 4th density wanderers, of which there are not many, will tend to choose those entities which seem to be full of love or in need of love. There is a great probability of entities making errors in judgment due to the compassion with which other selves are viewed. The 5th density wanderer is one who is not tremendously affected by the stimulus of the various rays of other self, and in its own way offers itself when a need is seen. Such entities are not likely to engage in the, shall we say, custom of your people called marriage, and are very likely to feel an aversion to childbearing and child-raising due to the awareness of the impropriety of the planetary vibrations relative to the harmonious vibrations of the density of light. The sixth density, whose means of propagation you may liken to what you call fusion, is likely to refrain to a great extent from the bisexual reproduction programming of the bodily complex, and instead seek out those with whom the sexual energy transfer is of the complete fusion nature, insofar as this is possible in manifestation in third density. Questioner, can you expand a little bit on what you mean by complete fusion nature? Ra, I am Ra. The entire creation is of the one creator. Thus, the division of sexual activity into simply that of the bodily complex is an artificial division. All things thusly being seen as sexual equally, the mind, the body, and the spirit, all of which are part of the polarity of the entity. Thus, sexual fusion may be seen with or without what you may call sexual intercourse to the complete melding of the mind, body, and spirit in what feels to be a constant orgasm, shall we say, of joy and delight in each other's beingness. Questioner, would then many wanderers of this higher density have considerable problems with respect to incarnation in the third density because of this different orientation? Ra, I am Ra. The probability of such problems, as you call them, due to the sixth density incarnating into third is rather large. It is not necessarily a problem, if you would call it thusly. It depends upon the unique orientation of each mind-body-spirit complex having this situation or placement of vibratory relatives. Questioner, can you give me an example how the different colors, this is a difficult question to ask. I hardly have any words. What I'm trying to get at is how the different colors, I might say, originate as these functions, or the essence, you might say, of the origin of these colors as functions for these different expressions in consciousness. I don't know if this question is sufficient. Ra, I am Ra. This question is sufficiently clear for us to attempt explanation of what, as you have observed, is not easily grasped material for the intellectual mind. The nature of vibration is such that it may be seen as having mathematically straight or narrow steps. These steps may be seen as having boundaries. Within each boundary, there are infinite gradations of vibrations of color. However, as one approaches a boundary, an effort must be made to cross that boundary. These colors are a simplistic way of expressing the boundary divisions of your density. There is also the time-space analogy, which is seen as a color itself in a modified aspect. Questioner, thank you. Is it possible for an entity in third density physical to vary widely across the entire band of colors, or is the entity pretty well zeroed in on one color? Ra, I am Ra. This will be the last full question of this working. Please restate for clarity. Questioner, I just meant, was it possible, say, for a green ray, when we were talking about green ray activation and energy transfers, is it possible for a green ray person who is primarily green ray activation to vary on both sides of the green ray a large or a small amount of energy activation, or does he stay primarily green ray? Ra, I am Ra. We grasp the newness of material requested by you. It was unclear, for we thought we had covered this material. The portion covered is this. The green ray activation is always vulnerable to the yellow or orange ray of possession, thus being largely yellow ray, but often coming into orange ray. Fear of possession, desire for possession, fear of being possessed, desire to be possessed. These are the distortions which will cause the deactivation of green ray energy transfer. The new material is this. Once the green ray has been achieved, the ability of the entity to enter blue is immediate and is only awaiting the efforts of the individual. The indigo ray is opened only through considerable discipline and practice, largely having to do with acceptance of self, not only as the polarized and balanced self, but as the creator, as an entity of infinite worth. This will begin to activate the indigo ray. Questioner, thank you. Ra, I am Ra. Do you have any brief queries before we close? Questioner, I think anything would be too long. I'll just ask if there is anything we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or make the contact better. Ra, I am Ra. All is well. We caution not only this instrument, but each to look well to the vital energies necessary for non-depletion of the instrument and the contact level. You are most conscientious, my friends. We shall be with you. I leave you now in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, then, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai. Yeah, so crazy, right? I don't know. I love it. I think there's many of you guys that are fourth, fifth, sixth density. And so Hopefully some of that kind of came to understanding. And then again, I don't know, maybe some of the distortions that happen in our life from imbalances within our own self, like maybe some of us have experienced some of these. Maybe we've grown through them, but a lot of that might be in relation. So just the quick on the colors, I mean, they tied it into a bunch of stuff, but orange is like power, just realizing you as an individual are powerful. That can be done like physical violence towards others. You know, you can run around and want to punch people, or just pushing things and being strong and lifting weights, right? Like a lot of that's kind of getting into that sort of orange energy. You're just aware of your own abilities as an individual. When you get into yellow, it's more you start to bring in the concept of groups and societies and all that kind of stuff. And so when you accompany power into that concept as well, when you get orange and yellow working together, you'll actually start to try to take control of, or maybe, and this is one of the bad ways to go, you can try to be helpful too, is one of the positive ways. But how you interact with larger groups starts to become very, very pronounced. Right? And so if were in a relationship where you were experiencing someone that was dominating you in such a way, it is kind of because you've got a blockage there. And the second you deal with that blockage, that actually stops you like instantly go, or you take off. You don't stay in that situation any longer because it no longer serves you. And so that's what a lot of the healing concepts are, like the medbed concept, right? Like if you've still got damaged goods inside spiritually, thinking how you manage yourself, then you're going to carry that through. So green gets more into love, blue, acceptance, freedom. So that's usually your mouth area is typically your blue chakra. And so how you kind of speak of people, how you are with them, that's just how it tends to come. It can come through action and stuff too. It doesn't just have to be words, but it is tied into communication and those types of things. Indigo is awareness of creator internally, like the self, like understanding that I am playing an enormous role in what I experience on a daily basis. Period. Like when I start to make the connection, and all it takes is just paying attention to what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're doing, and then you'll experience life. And then you tell me how many of these things are actually happening, and you keep talking about them, you keep saying it, you keep doing it, right? Like I guarantee in most cases, I could point out exactly where it's happening. That's why I stopped coaching. It was just insane. It was so difficult because everyone wants you to tell them what they want to hear, not what they need to do to actually evolve. You know, schools or sports or any of these things, getting good at anything is not easy, ever. And that's the point of why we do it to a degree. So, yeah, Violet, I don't think they've gotten into yet, or I missed it when they did. But I think it's part of the understanding the larger component, being involved with others. I mean, I this is part of why I wanted to teach it. It's the densities and the understanding of how these work together is a big deal to me. We do have a few questions that have come through. And again, this stuff can manifest itself in our lives in a lot of different ways. It doesn't just have to be sex, doesn't just have to be, but it'll be in relationships. We'll have pushy friends, always. Like a lot of our friends are similar, right? You're going to find some little common thread, and then look inward and go, oh yeah, okay. And then deal with it. Come to terms with it. Make friends with it. I don't know, whatever you feel that works. And write yourself some love letters. I mean, I don't know. But do something, and you'll be surprised how that'll play out. Prozac Projectile asked, free choice, the original double-edged sword? I would say there's nothing to fear about choice. You can make bad choices. If you learn from it, cool. If you don't, you'll continue down the wrong path. But, I mean, yeah, choice is awesome. That's the point of why we're here. I mean, what's the point of being human if you don't get to make choices? Otherwise, you're not in charge. You're just along for the ride. And so, yeah, I would think choice is kind of grooviness. Patriots Daryl says, anybody have thoughts where they are? Oh, yeah, I think he's referring to, like, everybody in chat, like what density they're coming at things from. Let's see, Maggie's asking, I am more of an introvert, and that feels deeply, and I want to help others. What color would I be? Don't know what color you are. I would, more of an introvert. Yeah, you're I don't know. I don't want to try to do that over the show, but I would look at, I've said before, healing chakras. It feels to me that you're kind of below the green chakra. I'll say that much. I do think there's some aspects in maybe the yellow-orange area that you probably want to look into for sure. It does sound like there's, if you're not wanting to talk to people per se, it sounds like you've infuriated your power. I don't know, I don't know. I don't know enough about you, but I would look in those directions. That'd probably be a good place to go from that standpoint. Anywho, I hope you guys got something out of this. We'll do 33, 34 next week. I think this was, again, some deep stuff. And in some cases, I might even have to read it a second time, just like, wow, yeah, because this is trying to come to terms with, I think, who we are. And again, at least my specific audience, at least a lot of a big chunk of you guys, who we are in this picture is tough. And this was, for me, was very helpful in assessing my level, if you will, and it's really helped impact how I've come at life and how I've tried to help others, and it's helped. So I hope just even friggin' 20 of you guys got from this what I'm hoping you got from it, and I actually think the number's going to be significantly more. But I love you guys. I thank a lot of you for coming. Sheila, I remember you. Thank you for being here. Right, I see Walt 77. See you. Thank you, Maggie, Marine in there. Welcome, guys. Dragonfly, very cool. That's kind of a special little thing to me. Tattoo Tammy, one of my favorite peoples out there. Pet, another one of my faves. Not that everyone's my fave, but there are some specific people that touched my soul. Tattoo is, she's a beautiful person. Let's see. S. Jones is there. Holy crap! Hey, nice. We got some peeps. Peoples that. Wow. That said. It is time to close out the show. Whoops, and find the folder I just closed up. And we will do this again next week. We got a great music show tomorrow for those of you guys that are just love Dan. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's based off of Golden Years from David Bowie, but it's going to be a lot of just. I don't want to waste it. Some good. It's all in the same vibe. It's got a cool, groovy kind of feel to it. That's what I'm telling you. You're going to have a good time tomorrow. We're going to do this again, of course, Law of One. Session 32, finished it up. Sessions 33 and 34 coming next week. It's right here on The Fringe.
Meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a big bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The Big Bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.